Welcome to Brick by Brick. On today's episode, we're going to be going over on the run shooting. So we're going to do a progression for on the run shooting and go over little subtleties that'll hopefully give you more context for your practice. So what we're going to do to start is focus on the footwork, and we're actually not even going to use a stick. So what I'll emulate for this video is a righty on the run. For all you lefties, just reverse it. So what I'm going to be doing, again, without a stick, is starting with my right foot in front and my left foot behind. So what I'm simulating is a freeze frame of what it'll look like the moment before I release my shot on the run. So instead of us being in a set position for a set shot, this is what we'll set up for on the run. And what I'm saying by setting it up like this is that I'm saying that I'm running across the field and my target's to my left. And so that's what we're setting up here. So I'm going to go a little bit closer to the wall. Right foot in front, left foot behind, both toes facing this way, all right? And so are my hips and shoulders. I'm going to fully extend my right arm with the ball. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my hand up and over my head without throwing it, but I'm going to bring it through that range of motion as I turn my hips through. Set that back up. I pivot my feet, my hips turn, and the hand comes through. And we want things to happen in that order. So we're generating power from the ground up. First, my feet pivot. That activates my hip rotation. That brings my shoulders, and then finally my hand through. All right, and now we're gonna make this a little bit more realistic. So instead of starting with my right foot in front, I'm gonna start with my left foot in front, hand in the same position, and I'm gonna step onto my right foot. The very moment my right foot hits the ground, I'll pivot and release. In this case, bring my hand through. Okay, and now the mic's working, so we're back. Refresh the last drill we did, and now add an actual release. So my foot hits, and then everything else happens after that right foot. And I'm trying to get this ball to leave my hand as high above my head as possible. That's why I'm keeping this arm fully extended and focusing on the timing of the release, okay? The very moment that right foot hits the ground, I'm gonna pivot, let my hips, shoulders, and hand come through. So let's get the stick involved now. We're gonna use that exact same timing with a stick and no ball, and make sure that we hear something with our stick, which is that wind noise as it comes through. And maybe you can hear that on this mic, maybe not, but we all know that feeling, or excuse me, that sound when our stick comes through. And then once we feel good about that, let's add a ball in. I'm gonna get a little more distance here. I step, as soon as that right foot hits the ground, I'll release. Let's not hit that thing, whatever that is. Step, release. All right, and now we'll do the same drill, two-handed. One step into my release. Okay, so now let's make this even more realistic. So I'll start in that same position, but instead of taking one step into that release, I'm gonna take 3 steps. So I'll go 1, 2, 3. On the third step, the ball will leave my stick. And now that I've got more momentum as I set my shot up than before, I wanna be cognizant of my momentum as I finish. So after this release, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna face the target and take 1 or 2 steps directly towards my target. So on that third step, yes, I'm releasing, but I'm not stopping my feet. So that's our righty on the run in 3 steps, starting with my hands in a loaded position. 1, 2, 3. Let's just mirror that, show you what it would look like lefty. So I'll step with my left foot first, right foot starts in front, and I'll shoot on my third step. One more there. Try to make it a mirror image. 1, 2, 3. Okay, good. And lastly, let's focus on the setup itself. So everything we've done so far, I've already got my hand or my stick in a position that's ready to shoot. Whereas we don't want to be running around in a game with our stick way out, right? We want to be protected, prioritizing ball control, ball protection. So let's now change the footwork a little bit to incorporate that. Instead of starting in my set position, let's go back to righty. Instead of starting in my set position, I'm going to start in triple threat position, square to my target, not unlike what it might look like if I was setting up a dodge to go to my right hand. But I'm in my set position here, in my triple threat position rather, and on step 1 with my right foot, that's when I'll get my stick set. Okay, so I'm still going to shoot on my third step, but it starts in triple threat position. So we'll go 1, 2, 3. We'll come back lefty. Triple threat to start. Left foot goes first this time. 1, 2, 3. All right. And then lastly, for those that are still with us, common mistake that we want to look out for is this. On step 1, is your stick hanging or not? And it's always in relation to where the pressure, the defender, is going to be. So in this case, what I would imagine is if I make a move to my right, the defender is going to be to my left and maybe slightly behind me. So any little bit of this stick behind could mean a trail check. So as I take this first step, what I'm doing is I'm angling my stick so my butt end is right near my chin. If I push this bottom hand away, you can see the result is that the head of my stick is hanging. Okay, although the butt end might be, although the bottom hand might be what causes this, I want to focus on the top hand being the one that sets the stick angle, and the bottom hand is just sort of along for the ride. So when I say bottom hand to chin, I really mean butt end to chin, and let's try to get the top hand to facilitate that. Okay, so that's our on the run progression. Hopefully this was helpful. This is one that really requires a lot of self-auditing, so I highly suggest, if you think of it, or if you really want to take this seriously, I highly suggest setting up a camera for yourself so that you can see not only the footwork, not only the stick angle, but also where the ball ends up in relation to those two things, and your momentum, right? Your wind-up momentum, your follow-through momentum, and starting to notice some of these little subtleties that we can make adjustments to. Okay, lastly, this is more of a philosophy of mine, there's no right way to do this. There is so many different types of shots on the run you could take. You could be running at different angles. You could have your stick in different positions. You could shoot sidearm, overhand, 3/4, behind the back. All of these things can happen on the run. But ideally, it comes down to what makes the most sense in the situation you're in, and do you trust that release, right? Have you practiced it to the point where you can do it without having to think about it in a game? So some just kind of food for thought there. But thank you for spending the time with us, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Peace.